2017. Last year at Dodin, we anchored our discussions within the broad theme of well-being in and of the city. As a reflexive space where we witness different ways of seeing, being, and acting in the city, this year we wish to bring to the center discussions and dialogues on precarity or precariousness, a condition of existence that is unpredictable, insecure, and generally fraught with threats to the well-being of all the people of our cities. Since recognition of precarity also means to recognize the faces and voices who often get invisibilized in making existence of those around them possible, we thought of beginning Dodin 2017 by introducing you to the people who go about their work in doing the things that make this vibrant coming together of all of us called Dodin a possibility. I now introduce you to the women of Vidyaranya School. Please welcome the staff, Lakshmi Bai, K. Gita, N. Jumna, B. Lalita, I. Lakshmi, K. Bhavna, P. Lalita, Sarika Didi, Samrita Didi. I now hand over the mic to our director, Dr. Anand Marimurthy.
My job actually is just to translate what Vanshika has said a moment ago, because we have people here who are very special. ఈ 2 రోజుల కార్యక్రమం ప్రతి సంవత్సరం జరుగుతుంది, మీ అందరికీ తెలిసిందే. ప్రతి సంవత్సరం కూడా ఏదో ఒక థీమ్ తీసుకుని ఈ థీమ్ మీద మనం మాట్లాడుకోవాలి అనుకుని నాకు చాలా మంది తెలుస్తాం. ఈ సంవత్సరము పట్టణాల్లో, నగరాల్లో, హైదరాబాద్ లాంటి ఊరు నడవాలి, ప్రజల జీవితం మామూలుగా సాగాలి అని అంటే ఎవరికి కనపడకుండా చాలా రకాలైనటువంటి పనులు చేసే వాళ్ళందరూ ఆటో రిక్షా డ్రైవర్లు, ఇళ్లల్లో పనులు చేసేవాళ్ళు, రోడ్లు ఊడ్చేవాళ్ళు, స్కూల్స్ నడిపించేటువంటి వాళ్ళు, వాళ్ళందరినీ కూడా వాళ్ళు పేరు లేని మొహాలు కనపడినటువంటి మనుషులు కాదు, వాళ్ళు నగరంలో ఉన్నటువంటి ముఖ్యమైన మనుషులు అన్న విషయాన్ని మనం గుర్తించాలి అన్న ఆలోచనతో మిమ్మల్ని అందరినీ ఇక్కడికి పిలిపించాను. సో ప్లీజ్, ఆన్ బిహాఫ్ ఆఫ్ ఎవ్రీవన్, ఆన్ బిహాఫ్ ఆఫ్ ద విమెన్ హూ మేక్ దిస్ ప్లేస్ వర్క్, రిక్వెస్ట్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ టు గివ్ దెమ్ అ బిగ్ హ్యాండ్. Okay, so among the people that we have actually asked here, these are all the women who clean the school every day throughout the year. They are here especially for us during the vacation. And then we have, sir, aapka naam? Muhammad Abdul Razim, who was actually an auto rickshaw driver. And one of the things that we will be talking about today is the conditions under which auto rickshaw drivers actually work in the city. హైదరాబాద్ నగరంలో 1,20,000 మంది ఆటో రిక్షా డ్రైవర్లు ఉన్నారు. చాలా మందికి తెలియదు సంఖ్య. హైదరాబాద్ నగరంలో ఎంతమంది జనాభా ఉన్నారు అంటే 60 లక్షల మంది ఉన్నారు అని తెలుసు మనకి. 60 lakh people, that's the population of Hyderabad. But imagine 1,20,000 auto rickshaws. If you take an average household size of about 4 to 5, we are talking about 6 lakh people who are dependent on incomes from auto rickshaws. And that's 10% of the city's population. నగరాల్లో ఆటో రిక్షాలలో ప్రయాణం చేసేటటువంటి వాళ్ళు, మీలో చాలా మంది ఆటో రిక్షాల్లో వెళ్తుంటారు. ఆటో రిక్షాల్లో ఎప్పుడో అప్పుడు ప్రయాణం చేసేటటువంటి వాళ్ళు 40% ఉంటారు. అందులో మనం కనీసం 10% తీసుకున్నప్పటికీ కూడా నగరంలో 20% మంది జనాభా ఆటో రిక్షాల మీద ఏదో ఒక రకంగా తమ జీవనాధారం కోసం ఆధారపడి ఉంటారు. Either by driving the auto rickshaw or traveling by auto rickshaw to work. And that auto rickshaw as a mode of transportation never figures in any of our policy. Our most important urban transportation policies do not actually take auto rickshaws as a category that has to be thought through. Second important thing is that in the last 3 or 4 years, there has been a lot of discussion about shared mobility. shared mobility for many of us means Uber and Ola. But think about the shared auto rickshaws in Hyderabad. There are 120 routes in Hyderabad, pretty much like an important bus service. All of them are shared auto rickshaws. That's the truth of Calcutta, that's the truth of Bombay, that's the truth of Delhi. All our cities are actually possible because people are able to get from their homes to their work in auto rickshaws, and we don't have any policy for them. So, Abdul Saab, please give him a big hand because he is one of the most important representatives of the service of the world. Thank you very much. Dodin, as some of you know, is something which started in 2013, and there's a very interesting story for us that we keep telling ourselves constantly. In 2012, when we began our work on cities, particularly starting from Hyderabad, one of the things that we were struggling with is how do we create new technologies, particularly mapping technologies, online technologies that are easy for everyone to use. That meant that we needed to actually hire people who can develop the technology. And hiring IT professionals, an entire team to develop a customized tool for us to map was a very expensive proposition. So we thought one of the things we could possibly try and do is to create a hackathon or a devathon where people will come, sit and solve the problem and put it out in the open source community, and let's see how that develops. But it didn't happen because we figured that in 48 hours time, a hackathon is actually not resulting in anything very useful and important. It often takes them a long time to figure out what the problem is. Once they figure out what the problem is, they take a long time to figure out what server environment, what language to use, and by then the 48 hours is over. But other than this, we also found another very important problem, which is that over the last 15 years, somehow technology has come to mean information technology. And information technology has come to mean particular parts of the city. Somehow in Hyderabad, western side of the city is where technology happens. And for us, people who grew up in the 70s and 80s in Hyderabad, ECIL, Sainik Puri, those are the places where technology was happening. The first open source technology that came out of Hyderabad is the ECTV. I don't know how many of you remember ECIL TV. The first black and white TV that was produced by ECIL, the technology was completely open source, everybody could access it and everybody could make their own versions of it and put whatever name they wanted to it. So you had Uptron, Caltron, all sorts of TVs which were made across the country with the technology that was produced at ECIL. We had another moment like that in India in the 70s when Bharat Electronics Limited in Bangalore produced the first transistor radio and said, here are the components, here are the pieces, you do what you want to do with it. And Delhi became a major center for radio production. We all grew up with this idea of Delhi sets. 40 rupees mein radio mila. That was how technology used to work, right? So one of the things we wanted to do was to see if we could unsettle this idea of technology as something which is only with computers and programming, and that technology should only be associated with the western side of the city in Hyderabad. To do that, what we wanted to do was to bring everybody together into one place which is easily accessible for all sorts of people. So Vidyaranya School, the location was selected precisely for that reason. It's centrally located, it is accessible for everyone by bus, and this is a place where we're going to performatively unsettle the idea of technology being on the west side, and we're going to create very unlikely conversations here, conversations which normally would not happen. What we did was to get a whole group of scrap merchants from Bholakpur, which is a major scrap market in Hyderabad, who deal in plastics, electronics, all sorts of things, and they're all technologists in a very fundamental sense, right? They deal with materials. We brought them here to talk about what their understanding of technology was, what their understanding of the cities was. That then resulted in a series of events and conversations that made us realize that we are now at a point where it's not just technology,
It's class, it's identity, it's all sorts of things which are constantly fluid, moving around. We don't quite know how to think about them. We don't quite know how to organize our politics. We don't quite know how to intervene in policies. And the best thing that we can do at this point of time, which in some sense is a horrible time, but it's also a great time, right? Because you can experiment with a lot of things. Nothing is certain. Everything that you think of as solid is just melting up in the air. That's a great moment in the sense that we can experiment. So we thought that every year, for 2 days, we should bring people here together to think about all of these issues. What happened was, after the first year, a lot of the people who came for the first year said that in the second year, when is the next Dodin happening? And Dodin then kind of became a homecoming for a lot of people. You know, people from Bombay, people from Bangalore, people from Chennai. They look forward to coming here. The location is something which draws people. It's for us a great moment. Also because spatial location, simply because I don't know how many of you are familiar with Hyderabad. This is exactly opposite the first building which ever became the center of administrative power for this entire region. Sakabad Palace, which is across from the flyover outside of this building, in the Secretariat complex, G block. That was the place which was called the Sakabad Palace, and that building was where the Prime Minister of Hyderabad used to operate. Historically then, this location is the center of both the administrative power and the political power of this entire Deccan region. The Secretariat is opposite, and the Assembly is barely 3 kilometers from here. And I'm saying that this is a very interesting moment because now, for the first time, the government of Telangana is beginning to talk about evacuating this entire space, turning this into skyscrapers, which was once a skyline, signature skyline around Hussain Sagar. And there are two ways of thinking about it, right? One is that this is a stupid idea where you're trying to move away and establish a center of power to some other place. But it also means that they're trying to create a city center which is essentially a space of consumption. It's no longer going to be a space of negotiation. When I belong to a generation which stood outside of this building, right opposite the state secretariat, and we used to say that इन सब चीजें तो कहाँ जाओगे? Secretariat के पास जाओगे, वहाँ पे दरवाजा खटखटाओगे. Right? You go to the secretariat's gate and demand justice, right? Now, within 2 kilometers of the secretariat, there's nothing that anybody can even say openly in public. Near the state assembly, it's 144 section 2 of the year. Every 15 days it is re-promulgated. So we have created a very, very disciplined city center, and the move towards creating that city center as a place of consumption rather than a place of negotiation, a place where justice can be articulated, that's the city that we are looking at. Taking that city, we keep organizing different kinds of events every year, different kinds of themes. The theme this year is precarity for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of the work that we have been doing over the last many years has been around the issue of work, labor in the city, right? Who does the work? Who makes cities possible? And even when we think about infrastructure, the point that we have been trying to make is that infrastructures do not just exist on their own. Infrastructures have to be reproduced on a day-to-day basis. They have to be cleaned, they have to be refurbished, they have to be fixed, they have to be repaired, and it involves a lot of labor. So if you take out that labor from infrastructure, it means nothing. If we want to think about that, then we have to start tracing who are the people, why are those labors being erased, why is it becoming something that we cannot think about anymore in our cities. And that then led to questions about identity, right? Because it is not just the work that is being erased, it's also the work of particular groups of people, particular identities, whether it is the Muslims who are involved in processing rawhides in Bholakpur, or it is the scheduled castes and Dalits in the city who clean the city throughout the night, from 11 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. There are thousands of women who are sweeping these streets.
Most people, when they come into Hyderabad city, they say that the city looks very clean. The roads are supposed to be very, very clean, but they're very clean. That's a story which hides the fact that it's clean because there are 20,000 women who swept it at night. That's the work. And that work is not certain, it is not permanent, it doesn't give employment benefits. Their names are not even known to the municipal corporation because the entire work of cleaning the streets is outsourced. Outsourced not to a firm that specializes in sanitation, outsourced to an IT firm which manages the payroll. And in that payroll, the names of these people exist, but only as bank accounts into which money is to be transferred. Right? So these women who are cleaning the streets at night, you will see them wearing those fluorescent yellow jackets. They imagine that they are working for the municipal corporation. They imagine that they are actually municipal employees, but they are not. Most of them don't even know that they are not employees of the municipal corporation. And when they're actually volunteers, the self-help groups. But the thing is that at night, when a vehicle knocks them down, they don't get any benefits from the government. It's workplace injury. But it doesn't get classified as workplace injury. If a woman who's sweeping the streets at night is harassed sexually, it's not sexual harassment at workplace. None of the laws that we know apply to those people. And yet they're doing this work because they want to make not only the city, but they actually have to make their own households work. So starting from the scale of the household, the family, the one-room tenement in which one is living, all the way to the workplace, to the modes of transportation through which one moves to get to all of these places and make things work. That's the kind of stuff that we need to begin to talk about. And we don't have the languages to think about them. We don't have the numbers to think about them. And that is what we keep on working throughout the year, and then we bring things together once a year to make stuff come together.
Now invite our directors, Bhashwati ma'am and Dr. Anand Maringanti, to kindly take over the dais.
I will not take over anything. The inaugural has already happened, and have a really, really good time. Good time seeing all the horrible things that surround us. And as you have already seen in the morning, precarity is something that we preach and practice in equal measure. So please don't worry, there will be hundreds of, and all that is looking so nice and shiny on the boards. It has come after a lot of screaming, shouting, tearing hair, beating each other up. So please understand that each grain here is kind of embedded in precarity, and so are we. And whenever possible, wherever possible, whatever you find here, if you wish to do it anywhere else, if you want to share it with anybody else, just go ahead and do it. And if you inform us, we'll be very happy. If you're not able to, no problem. And have a good 2 days, and please be back tomorrow.